sometimes that can be a really difficult conversation because something's gone wrong.
Boiler doesn't work.
A boiler doesn't work. Exactly.
One of the most common
What do I
ones
need to
I
do?
have.
I went in the loft and it was full. Speak to your lawyer. Surely if you're selling or buying a property, the A team that you collect around you is massively important. The very best of those people and the cheapest of those people are very rarely the same people. The most rewarding thing I've ever had as an estate agent over and over again is when a previous client comes back to you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Fishers on the Case. This is the podcast where we talk to business owners and industry experts who connect with the law. My name is Amanda Payne and I'm the host of Fishers on the Case and CEO of Fishers Solicitors based in Ashby. So every month Fishers also has a networking event called Ashby Connect, which is held on the last Wednesday in each month. So more details of that can be found on our website. But today I'm very pleased to introduce to you my long-standing friend Martyn Baum.
Hello.
Welcome, Martyn, from Reed & Baum Estate Agents. And Martyn, for those of you who don't know, used to be an estate agent here in Ashby.
I did.
And that's
lovely.
How we know each other. But let's go back. Let's go right back to when you were, I don't know, at school, finishing school.
Yes.
What did you want to be?
Oh, I don't know what I wanted to be. No, I don't know what I wanted to be. I'm glad I became an estate agent.
Yes.
I remember thinking, I fell into estate agency, really. I went home one day, as you do, from school, and went to my father and said, Dad, they want us to get a week's work experience. Can you help me out? So we rang a printer and rang an estate agency friend, and the estate agency friend rang back before the printer, and the rest is history. So from that point, I suppose, at the age of 16, I did want to be an estate agent. Yeah, so
small experience of working in an office and in that environment.
Hooked me. 1 week.
Yeah, one week, and that was it. That was quick, really, wasn't it?
It really was. It really was. We loved it.
Yeah. So did you go into estate agency straight from school then, when you actually left school?
So I sat there with a trainee estate agent's position on one hand and an offer from Nottingham to do economics and marketing on the other, and decided, I know I'm ready to earn 2 and 8 and try and be an estate agent. So dived into being an trainee estate agent at John German, which is a big name in Ashby. But I was in the Loughborough branch, and it all started from there. So I turned my back on education and went straight into being an estate agent.
And no regrets on that?
No, not regrets? In any way, shape or form. I don't. No regrets really.
And then at one point you moved away from John German and ultimately you had your own business.
Yes.
So was that a difficult decision to do that, or something you always strive for, working for yourself?
Yes, I loved being at John German. I was there for 11 years. I went from T-boy to equity partner in about 9 years, which was fabulous.
Yes.
And then in 2010, we opened Hartley's in Ashby with Gary Hartley, who had other branches around Leicestershire, but Ashby was a new venture and a new business.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I learned a lot. I got lots wrong and hopefully a few things right. And actually learnt about the fact that estate agency isn't about 4 walls and the roof of property, that estate agency is really about people. And so the interesting thing that I found as a massive change from being in Loughborough and being right in the centre of Loughborough, we were a market leader in Loughborough. We sold more houses than anybody else for many of those years I was there, which was great, and we were very proud of it. But then you start a brand new business in a brand new town, working against that competitor, actually, that there was such a lovely community within Ashby, and you talked about your networking group that you have, and a business community and a local community, that actually it didn't matter what brand was above the door. It was the relationship between human and human, which is so super valuable, and actually something that now I can turn around to you 15 years later and say, that's the bit I enjoy the most. It's not about the houses. It's never about the houses. It's about the relationships, about the people when you're selling a property or with the other stakeholders such as yourself.
Yeah, okay. What's the best thing about selling a property? Is there a best thing? Is it that first meeting, the first time you see it?
I think it
is it completes and it's gone.
It's got to be the complete bit. The complete bit has to be really important. But people always think, well, you're bound to say that, Martyn, because that's when you get paid. But it's never about the money. You wouldn't be an estate agent if it was about the money. It's actually, there will be stresses and strains throughout that process. That might be right at the very start, where someone's fallen in love with a property and they want to go to the market because they desperately want that property and they miss out on it before they've even got anybody through the door. That's stressful and painful, and working out. People often say to me, do I put my house on the market first, Martyn? Or do I go and find a property to buy? that bit can be stressful. When you're negotiating an offer, can be quite stressful because people expect backwards and forwards, and people's expectations when you're selling your own home are sometimes higher than the market will pay. So that, and working your way through that. Working alongside conveyancers to get over the hurdles and just the everyday frustrations of knowing how long a transaction takes and the ebbs and flow in motivation through that from all parties. It's getting into the nitty-gritty of helping people and guiding people that is the best part. It's not, and there's always wins. Relationships again, but don't get me wrong, there's a big adrenaline shot of adrenaline when you win the business, when you agree a sale, when you get to a completion, you know it's going to happen. But there's so many little wins along the way that make it really special.
You touched there about the length of time that it takes, and clearly I have seen the length of time, being longer and longer. Can you explain, or do you know why that is?
So just to put some context behind that then. So I'm a lot older than you, Amanda. So I started in 1999.
Yes.
And I think, and I'd like your opinion on this, I think the average transaction was about 6 weeks. Is that fair? Back in the late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s,
and
easily.
I see now that the average transaction is, taking brands out of the equation, if you look nationally, 14 to 16 weeks. Now, is that
4 months?
4 months.
I would have said
4 months. So 4 months, 16 weeks.
So we're on the same wavelength.
So that's how long it's taking. So what is it that's changing that?
Because we've got IT now. We've got things that we never had before.
So I think there is a number of smaller effects or parts of the process that combined lengthen the whole thing out.
Okay.
So I would start with one of the biggest issues is somebody agrees to offer on a property or they accept an offer on a property and then they instruct their lawyer.
Yes.
And then that lawyer has to go through their onboarding.
Yes.
And onboarding now, when you take all the paperwork into account in terms of digital legal packs and anti-money laundering checks and down to fixtures and fittings form, if people sit on it, so they arrive on their inbox, or if it's not as such a switched on firm, in their mailbox on a Tuesday, and they think, well, I'm really busy at the moment, so I'll do that on Sunday. They do it on Sunday, and then it gets back to the lawyer Monday, Tuesday.
So
lawyers
it's a week, just gone.
And lawyers can't just drop things and start moving on. So it has to go into their pile. And if that happens on a chain of 4 or 5, the compound effect of that is all of a sudden there's 3-4 weeks gone before we've really started the process going. I think that my perception of the legal profession, understandably, is that there's now more responsibility, and so therefore you're more concerned about what damages could be brought against me at some point in the future.
Yeah, there is.
So therefore therefore we used to write to each other. I mean, in the 90s, you'd send letters and get deals done quicker than we do in emails.
Yes.
But everything would very much have to be in writing because nobody takes a view on anything. So everything, this is my perception, tell me when I'm wrong, is taken down to the nth degree and backed up, not just for today, but in case you have to compile a case for insurers
down the line,
further years down the line. And that, in a smaller way, that happens for a estate agency too. I used to be able to get a house on the market the same day. If they gave me the job at 10 o'clock in the morning, then we'd be on the internet. Well, we weren't on the internet to start with, but the equivalent to being on the internet. If we could get a house instruction on a Tuesday morning, I could still get it in the paper for Thursday. Where now, all of my onboarding with anti-money laundering and understanding, I actually have just introduced this year, which is an interesting concept, digital legal pack. So it takes your paperwork to, I don't know if you like those or not, but it gives us lots of information that then can be sent off to the solicitor later on to try and cover them. But all of that still takes time. And so people are perhaps more motivated when they put the house on the market than when they've agreed an offer, which is my motivation for trialing this new process.
Yes.
But I think it is that compound effect and that concern and nobody being able to take a view on things. What is your perception?
No, I agree with a lot of what you've said. And I think in addition to that, we've got some organisations which didn't exist 20 years ago where there's a lot of non-qualified people involved in the process. So not people, like me and my equivalents. So that doesn't always help. They have to get their files signed off by senior people, and that can take a few days. So, more delay. We have a lot of administration to do, which you've highlighted a lot of, but also source of funds, source of wealth. We need statements, and even when we get the statements, we might need more statements, and we've got to do more questioning. And that just all takes time, and that delays it as well.
So it's that checking.
Checking, yeah. So it's not just gathering the information, it's then obviously reading it, understanding it, and sometimes we feel like we're doing the jobs of, I don't know, the police or other organisations, or even the banks, who don't seem to have the responsibilities that we have anymore.
So can I ask you a question? I know you're asking me the questions, but can I ask you a question? And this, for the industry, if the average cost of conveyancing in the country doubled, which consumer wouldn't like, but if it did, would that speed up the process?
No.
It wouldn't.
I don't think so.
You wouldn't be able to bring more. Would you then be able to attract more qualified lawyers into?
Probably.
I think both of our industries have got a challenge at the moment of bringing through the next generation of estate agents and conveyancers, because there's more better paid roles out there. There is it's neither role can you arrive in on day one and be CEO in 18 months time, and people's patience is dropping down. So I think it's a challenge for both of our industries to get really good people in.
It is. And there's a lot less people going into conveyancing than there ever used to be, I think.
And that was my motivation behind it. If you could pay more, then would that then allow us to get better people in, which would perhaps
speed up the process.
Maybe it takes it away from the lowest common denominator, which is more of a volume-based conveyancing business.
Yeah, no, true. No, I get what you're saying. I think that will probably work.
That's good then. So there's my
that's
my campaign. I'm gonna have a T-shirt. Pay conveyancers more.
I love it.
Exactly. No, I do think that's the conveyancing work that happens is huge, and there are occasions when, if certain firms are in a chain that I'm there to represent my seller, and a buyer comes along with certain firms in the chain or representing that buyer, that I struggle to present them as a credible buyer because of the 18 they got around them. Because surely if you're selling or buying a property, the 18 that you collect around you is massively important. You want the very best conveyancer. You want the very best removal firm. You want the very best mortgage broker. You want the very best estate agent. And the very best of those people and the cheapest of those people are very rarely the same people. So
Agreed.
how do we overcome that? And that's what I think is one of the other issues around the transaction times.
Do you think it's the same just in our sort of East Midlands region, or do you think it's the same up and down the country?
I think it's a national issue.
Is it a national issue?
National issue, and that's why the whole. I would imagine that if it takes on average 4 months for a conveyance. Because of the quality of the service of your firm or my firm, that's probably a little bit lower than, because if 16 weeks is an average, then some people are at 24 weeks all the time, aren't they? So I'd like to think that but I wouldn't ever expect a transaction or warn people that a transaction would be less than 12 weeks at the moment.
Yeah, and what's that reaction like when you tell people that they've perhaps not moved for 10 years? I bet they can't believe it.
They can't believe it. They can't believe it because two things at play. One, when they last moved, it was very 6 or 8 weeks and very different, and a lot less work for them to do. A lot of people are saying to me now, I've got a busy life, Martyn, and you're wanting all this from us to be able to get them. And secondly, I think as a nation or just general human beings, we become more impatient and we want everything quicker. We want a WhatsApp message responded to in 20 minutes and an email within half an hour. And so to be waiting for something.
It's not good, is it? It's difficult managing expectations, isn't it? Big part of the job, I think.
And then because of that length of time, some sales don't complete. And
they fall
away. And in a slightly tougher time in the market, as in the back end of last year, a lot of estate agents reporting to me and saw that their fall-through rate, cancellation rate, was higher than normal. Bear in mind the national average is normally 1 in 3, because of the fact that it takes such a long time that life happens, redundancies happen, people become poorly, people become pregnant, people see another house and dive onto that. So it has and that all costs money
and time
to the consumer and time when they have to start again and pay professionals, their A-team again. So something has to change, doesn't it, Amanda?
And years ago you had sort of connections, didn't you, when you were you on some boards and talking to the people, even in government? And
so back in 2015, I became the youngest ever president of the National Association of Estate Agents. It aged me tremendously. Which is now regarded as Property Mark. They rebranded to Property Mark, which is a great organisation. So what lots of people don't understand is that estate agents aren't regulated. That you can be in accountancy or a lawyer or a milkman or or whatever on a Friday and open up a estate agency on a Monday. But there is a section of estate agents that choose to be regulated by the governing body. And I was fortunate enough to be voted by the members to become our national president in 2015, which was a great honour and a brilliant experience. And back then, we were having meetings with government about modernising and reinventing the way that property transactions take place and the impact on that.
So as a result of those meetings back in 2015, has anything happened? Has anything come to fruition as at today that we are now doing?
No, it's not his answer. I think there is lots of, but
there's much talk about change all the time. I'm almost fed up of hearing about
it. And it's that carrot that's dangled at the end of a piece of string. But since then, if you think about it, over the last 15 years, we've not had a prime minister that's lasted more than 3 years since David Cameron. We've had probably, I've lost count now, we've certainly had more than one housing minister a year.
Yes.
So there's nobody that's, even though there's been cross-party support for changing the house buying and selling process, there hasn't been anybody that's really been driving it.
No.
So, and because it brings in, it's a complicated, you deal with the legal part of it. It's a piece of legislation that's 100 years old last year, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's, from a lawyer's point of view, you've got one agenda and angle. From an estate agent's point of view, one agenda and an angle. From a surveyor's point of view, one agenda and angle. So trying to bring all that together needs, in my opinion, legislation, not just an appetite for change. It needs government intervention.
And we keep being told things and then they get stripped back, like the property information form and the part 1s that were going to be filled in with sellers and estate agents early doors. It's all gone quiet again.
It's all gone quiet again.
All gone quiet. I just think, what's happening?
And there always seems to be a bigger thing on the agenda, if that's Brexit or COVID or a general election or whatever it may be. And until we get stable politics that has a stable plan for housing, if that's transactions or building, and it's good to see some of the leasehold and renters' rights coming through and leasehold reform. That's great. But what we want to see on the sales element is a more certain way with less costs for the consumer. I don't have all the answers.
Come up with a plan and present it.
Exactly. We could do it though.
Some of these people, they don't work at the coalface, so they don't know, do they?
No.
I think it must be difficult as a minister to really understand or appreciate what's happening.
And that is certainly what the legislation team and the legal team at Property Mark spends all their time doing is taking representation from members, estate agents, to the government to try and give an idea of what it's like, as you say, when you're actually here doing the job in the trenches on a daily basis, and actually how that impacts on the consumer, because it's hard to convince someone to move house sometimes. They don't realise how stressful it is, do they?
No, it's very stressful, isn't it? It still is. I don't think that'll ever go away, though.
No, it won't. No, not at all. Not at all.
So what motivates you in the morning then to get up? What gives you the drive?
I think the reason I get up in the morning and jump out of bed is because no 2 days are the same. No two properties are ever the same. No two sets of clients are the same.
Agree.
Every day is different. There's things are thrown at you and there's pressures happening every day. But there's a great feeling of purpose and satisfaction at the end of the day when you know that you've hopefully, in a very small part, just influenced somebody's difficult, challenging, stressful part of their lives to be able to make a difference.
Yes.
And if you've just done that a little bit and just made it a little bit easier, the most rewarding thing I've ever had as an estate agent over and over again is when a previous client comes back to you, if that's a buyer or a seller. You have lots and lots of repeat clients.
Yeah,
and
3/4 of Fisher's clients are repeat clients.
Wow.
Which is a great
That's
statistic.
huge, isn't it?
Massive.
That
big
is
compliment.
Brilliant. Massive compliment. And you will have had decades and generations coming back to Fishers. And why is that then? Let me ask you.
Just because I think we offer such a great service.
Yes.
And we are personable and approachable and friendly, and we've got a good way of talking to people.
And that then goes deeper, doesn't it? Because that's then recruiting the right people
to take that message through. Yeah.
And creating somebody said to me the other day, and you're the boss lady. Somebody said to me the other day, you are the weather, Martyn. How you arrive in your office is how the weather. So if you arrive with a sunshine atmosphere, everybody else does. If you turn up stressed and grumpy and throwing your toys out the pram, which we all do from occasionally, that spreads amongst your team.
Yes.
So all those little incremental things impact so that people feel confident. All people want is to I think people want to just feel that they are respected, that they can trust the person that's advising them to be doing the right thing by them. And then they'll come back and they'll repeat. And
yes.
I mean, my current business is only 3 years old last week. So I don't,
Gosh, that's gone quickly.
Very quickly. So I'd love to get to a point where 75% is repeat business. But just as an individual, to get repeat business is
it's great,
best compliment in the world.
So do you get buyers come back to you as well then, where obviously you've acted for the seller previously,
and then the buyers come back
to you when they want to sell again?
Absolutely. I always try. It's always different. It's always making sure that estate agents don't do this very well, to be honest with you. So you'll have this fee-paying client that is your seller all the way through the process.
Yes.
And then on the final day, when they are collecting the keys to their new house, which is a happy time, isn't it?
Happy time.
They're having a party in another estate agent's office, and a buyer's having a party in my office, collecting the keys. So you are always, for two lessons, you're always acting for your fee-paying client.
Of course.
But you want to make a best friend of a buyer because you need to work together. And although you always know where you're acting, but that's also hopefully a future piece of business.
Yes.
But also is not to forget your fee-paying client that has been back to you on their party day, even though they are partying down the road collecting their keys with another estate agent. So it's and that's where estate agents need to work hard to continue that rapport after completion day. So
how do you keep in touch with clients? Do you have strategies? Is there things that you're working on to keep in touch with people?
I think it's easy sometimes. It's always nice to ring them 2 or 3 weeks after completion.
And just have a chat.
Just say hello, how's it going? And sometimes that can be a really difficult conversation because something's gone wrong. But
the boiler doesn't work.
The boiler doesn't work, exactly.
One of the most common ones
I went in the loft and it was full. Speak to your lawyer. And at that point, then the stresses of that moving day, and they're just starting to get into their new routine.
Yes.
And sometimes they'll want a plumber or a joiner or a gardener or whatever it may be, and you've got that list of of contacts as your local estate agent. I'm also very lucky that wherever I've worked, I've always lived and worked in the same area, been part of that community. So
do you like that? Is that a good thing, do you think?
Up until 3 pints, yes. But I like the fact that you can bump into them in the supermarket or go into bump into them at work, or bump into them in the street.
Yes.
And actually, I say about 3 pints. You do have to be careful though, because
you don't know who's listening.
You don't know who's listening. You do see people in the pub who you're going to be valuing their house on Monday, and but that's all part of it. If you're going to be a community estate agent, and you want to be that speed dial estate agent that when people think to themselves, I want to go to the market, I need some help thinking, how do I move from here to here? I want them to be thinking, well, let's ring Martyn, in the same way that 75% of your clients think, boom, let's ring Fishers. And that's part of building that. And you only really do that if you submerge into the community.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
That's why
Are you in a run of shops, or what? Are you just your office? Where?
So I'm just
what's
moving
the location?
offices actually.
Are you?
But still both high street. So I've kept high street. But that is, and the reason I've kept high street and stayed within the row of shops, the village shops, is threefold really. One, I don't enjoy working from home on a personal level, so I like having somewhere to go to work.
Yeah, keep it separate.
It gives me that. It gives me that. Secondly, it does give a position where people can come and see you. It's not always on their patch. Sometimes it's nice to invite somebody into your environment and talk to them about it. And three, I think it's a statement of intent for that community to say, look, we're here, stick your flag in, we're here. We want to not just be serving you as a body of people, but we want to be part of the community and give back and enrich the community to be able to do, as you do very well, networking events and sponsorship and just being part of it. And so that's I think
it's
from
a
the
great
state
thing,
agency,
that is.
that's
Yeah,
important.
it's nice, isn't it?
I really do.
Yeah.
But being all about people and then scurrying off to my little bedroom or the converted garage, it's being part of what's going on.
Yeah. So you're moving because you're expanding? Is there a big reason behind the move?
We're in a little village just outside Loughborough called Quorn.
Yes.
And the business has a different mentality to any of the other businesses I've worked with previously, where we've been market share driven and wanted to be the biggest. This business has a different mentality where it limits its coverage area more to that village and the surrounding villages.
Yeah.
I will go outside of that for a previous client, but 80% of my client base is very close, within 5 miles. Very, very, not even within 5 miles, within 2 miles. Very, very local. It was only ever going to be me, but we're now 3 years in. There's 4 of us, so we still get to a point, and there is a magic number where we turn around and say we're not taking any more clients on, and that's where we are, which I think is quite alien in a estate agency. I think it's just wanting more. But we do just need a bit more space when there's 3 or 4 of us, and then a client arrives in, and we're just one small room which is 4 meters by 3 meters. Literally, they've got 3 pairs of eyes. It's quite intimidating.
Yes.
So just an opportunity arose literally 3 doors down.
Oh, brilliant.
And it's double the footprint, and it will fit perfectly.
Yeah,
for
nice.
us. So it's smaller than many of the business offices that we've had previously, but fits our needs now for where we are.
So do you do everything still, valuing?
Absolutely.
Progression.
The whole thing.
You're doing the whole thing.
More than ever, really. So from answering the phone to putting a house on the market, valuing, putting a house on the market, conducting viewings, negotiating offers, progressing all the way through. And actually,
I think clients must like that. They're not being passed on to another who they don't know, never met before. And
even however good they are, you feel like you're starting again, don't you? So if you've got somebody that comes out and values the property, and then somebody else who does the viewings, and somebody else that does the negotiation, and somebody else that does the sales process. And lots of estate agents work like that, and it's a very fine oiled machine, but we wanted to be different.
Yes.
As part of my time when I was president of Property Mark, I was very fortunate to go over to the States on 2 occasions, see how American realtors do it.
How they do it.
And they don't do as many transactions, but again, you have a realtor for life or a real estate agent for life. So they work on the relationships, but don't have as many clients, which I think is fascinating and really interesting. And it's the same in big parts of Europe. It's the same in Australia. So
don't they have people act for? You can engage someone to act for you when you're looking to buy, can't you? As an agent, a buyer agent.
Yes, you can
in certain parts of the world.
Absolutely, and certainly
which is interesting. It's never really happened here, I don't think, has it?
No, they only ever act for your fee-paying client being the selling agent. But most real estate agents in the States will act for a buyer and a seller. And so one agent will put a property to the market, and other estate agents will go and view it to be able to talk to the clients they're acting for about it. And you'll get 3% on the sale and 3% on the purchase. So it's a bit different to being over here.
Do you think it's better, worse?
I think it has its pros and cons. It's a quicker process, and a real estate agents in America will be licensed, have a qualification, and do far more of the legal conveyancing part. Not all of it, but unlike the British estate agent, there's a bigger chunk of doing it. So it's interesting how different for the same thing that happens around the world, from one person buying a home to somebody else, and it's done very differently around the world.
Interesting. Brilliant. Anything you want to ask me? Anything else?
Yes, I would. I'd like to know.
Yes.
So I've talked a lot about relationships.
Uh-huh.
And I think the relationship between estate agent and conveyancer is vital, and probably never been more strained. Because we all used to go for long lunches in the 90s and noughties, or we used to do more networking groups, things like that. We used to actually see the whites of each other's eyes, not the signature on an email.
Why has that changed then? Why is that?
I think just that society and speed and the way it works.
Yeah.
As a conveyancer, one of the leading conveyancers in the region, what can an estate agent start doing and stop doing and continuing to do to make the relationship better?
For me personally, I think they should not be asking for updates, because I think we should be keeping estate agents up to date. So if I see there's a stream of emails coming in saying what's happening, I feel like we're not doing our job properly. So on the flip side, I want an estate agent to be able to help at points where help is needed. And sometimes where we're not getting communication from a solicitor firm on the other side, I would like the agent to then ring that other side's client, so the buyer or seller, whichever it is, and get them to encourage their solicitor to communicate.
Yes.
Because I think there's very much a lack of communication in the industry. And that's a big thing that I would like to change. But that's where I see the estate agents being most helpful in terms of once we get going with the transaction. Sometimes there's a lot of delays and you don't know why there is a delay, why we're not being communicated with. And I think that lack of silence can sometimes set alarm bells ringing that really don't need to be ringing at all. And you're saying to your client, well, they're not coming back to me, I don't know why. Do you know what's going on? Have you heard anything? And I think that's where an estate agent can come in and find out and then put everybody's mind at rest. It's just somebody's been ill or they've been away, or there's often a genuine reason. But sometimes the silence, I think, makes people a bit on edge.
It's the unknown. It's
the unknown
of thinking, have they decided not to buy my property?
Yes,
or
are
they looking at something else and we just don't hear what's going on?
So I think the communication is absolutely key.
So,
and that's for me where agents can really be helpful once the deal is done.
Far better than just thinking about Wednesday is my sales progression day, so I'm just going to go through my pipeline and just email one-line email out saying, what's happening? Can I have an update?
Yeah.
Actually, rather than I don't need to change. I don't need to try and obtain an update this week because last week I found this information. I know I'm not. The lawyers aren't going to have an answer to that until the next week.
Yeah,
the following.
And I think nothing will have necessarily changed in a week. And we're talking about a 4-month process on average. So having an email every week is just not helpful. And you feel like you want to respond because you don't want to be rude. But then it's taking time out where time doesn't need to be taken out. So obviously each conveyancer is running X number of files at any one time and they get all those emails in from agents every week. It takes a lot of time to respond.
Exactly. So do you think there's a lack of knowledge on an estate agent's part about the conveyancing process?
Sometimes, and you know that over the years I've run workshops and talked to estate agents about this, and maybe it's time to do that again. But
time is everything, isn't it? But
yes.
I think that there's a gap in knowledge of what the conveyancing process is, or what stage by stage needs to go through.
Yeah.
If it's a volume firm or a big, a more bespoke repeat custom outfit such as yours, the estate agent doesn't always understand the process. So therefore, when we're still waiting for searches to come back after 3 weeks, we're still waiting for searches to come back. You can keep telling me that we're still waiting for searches to come back, but they're not here. So much better you doing some other work than answering,
telling you again that they're not back yet.
Here. Exactly, and I think that is really, really. Do you think there'll ever be a time when an estate agent and 2 lawyers will be happy to meet round a table, have a conference call or a WhatsApp group?
Yes, I don't have any problem with that. I think it's really useful.
I think when you get to the nitty gritty bit,
I think it could be really useful. I don't think it will harm anybody.
No,
we're still, acting for our client and doing things in their best interests, but having a 3-way conversation, fantastic.
Is a good way.
Because everybody then knows, and everyone's heard it from the horse's mouth. And there's not this Chinese whisper effect that sometimes happens from one end of a chain to another.
Absolutely.
And I have been involved in, sorry to interrupt,
No.
I have been involved in chains of emails recently with other lawyers, whether we've had long chains, and I think it's really worked.
Excellent.
Even when it's time to release an exchange, people are like, done that bit, and it's like, what do you mean next? And you just know, it's starting to happen.
And also just having knowledge and visibility of the chain to understand.
Yes. That's very lacking from day one, because sometimes our own clients don't even know themselves.
No.
So again, communication, lack of knowledge.
Understanding the chain, knowing where you are in the chain. Are you at the top of the chain? And the bottom of the chain's been going 4 months already.
Yes.
And so it's sort of like, we're just starting the process.
Yes.
But for them, they're already at week 16.
Yes.
Or I've known law firms, and with no poor reflection on them, have 2 links in the chain but not know, because no one's ever communicated that you are all part of that chain.
So whose responsibility is it to pass on chain information?
I think it's the estate agent.
But which estate agent? Top, bottom, middle? All of them?
It is
because I know before buyers have their offer accepted, don't estate agents generally find out about the chain?
Yes, I would.
And have you had an offer accepted on your house? Brilliant. Who's your agent? Can I just have a quick word with them? Mm-hmm. And then you find out, you get that knowledge.
So my CRM system will have the chain. And when I say the chain, it'll have the property address, the name of the person that's selling it, the estate agent that's acting for them, and the conveyancer that's acting for them.
Okay.
On every link from bottom to top.
So you find all that out?
I find all that out.
As soon as you can. As soon as you can.
And certainly, if I'm selling your house, Amanda, I want to come to you and say, right, I've got a Mr. and Mrs. X that would like to make an offer. They've sold their property. I've had that checked out by their estate agent, and that estate agent's also confirmed that the downward chain is complete. So they are a credible buyer in my eyes to offer to you.
Yeah.
But estate agent, and I don't, as I sit here today, I don't know what the GDPR compliant element to it is. But it just seems bizarre to me that it's not then commonplace that list, that ladder of chain details isn't shared to all conveyancers. So
I'm sure it is a GDPR issue, isn't it?
Well, I imagine there probably is, but there must be a way around it. If it all part of it can be sanitised.
Well, that's what they've looked at before, I think, isn't it? The government and those groups have looked at that element of getting that information and having the chain links available.
But it comes down to communication,
doesn't
it?
Definitely.
And I do think that your point about Chinese whispers, sometimes the more experienced the estate agent, the more the estate agent naturally tries to help. The more the lawyers will lean on that estate agent, which is great. But sometimes there'll be a technicality from one lawyer to another lawyer that the estate agent can misrepresent or misinterpret in the middle, and it become a problem. And if you had that 3-way conversation, then I think that would be quick.
I think that's a good idea.
Excellent.
A good takeaway.
I like it. There we go.
I'll think about that. Well, thank you very much today, Martyn, for coming in and talking to me. It's been brilliant.
Thank you ever so much for inviting me. So we'd see you.